The purple-crowned lorikeet is a tiny little parrot that's only about 16 centimetres tall. And of course it's got a little purple patch on its head, which is why it's called a purple-crowned honeyeater. It's also got a very high-pitched, screechy voice as compared to the more aggressive and more well-known rainbow lorikeet. It really actually enjoys eating berries, and so some of these coastal areas provide really good habitat for it because there's lots of niter bush and samphires and other native succulents along the coast.
The kangaroo island echidna is actually endangered. It's an endangered species. You're lucky to see them. They are all over the island, but even here at Emu Bay. And echidnas are amazing because they are one of the oldest surviving mammals in the world. In fact, echidnas were around with the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs, of course, died out, but echidnas are still here. And echidnas are one of only 3 egg-laying mammals. The female has an amazing reproductive life. She'll lay 1 single egg into her pouch, and that will be in the pouch for only 10 days before it hatches. And then the young one, called a puggle, it actually has to cling to the hairs of mom's pouch and start to suckle at an area called the milk patch. And it's going to be carried in mom's pouch for only about 50 days. And after that, what does mom do? She digs a special nursery burrow. She'll put the young into a nursery burrow, and then something really surprising happens. She only returns for 2 hours every 5 days to suckle that young. And that is totally unheard of in any other type of mammal. So incredible. And she's going to continue to feed that young until it's about 7 months old. So it's a lot of work for the female, and it's work for that puggle too to grow into what looks like a normal echidna. And they're going to come out of their nursery burrow usually around the end of January or February because breeding takes place in winter. And then, once it's weaned, mom never comes back again. So the young is totally on its own to go out and explore the world until it's 6 or 7 years old, and then it might be a female and have a puggle, or it might be a male and join what we call an echidna train.
The collared sparrowhawk is a medium-sized or smaller raptor, but it's often confused with the brown goshawk. So the way to tell them apart is really the size. So the collared sparrowhawk is about 20 centimetres smaller than the brown goshawk, and strangely enough it's got a really long middle toe. So if you're looking at it, that's a really good way to tell. Get a photo of its toe and look at its size. The other thing about the sparrowhawks is that they are quite aggressive hunters, and they hunt in coastal locations, in forested areas, but also in farms, over townships, and sometimes they will ambush, so they will sit at a perch and then come in low and fast and just take things in the air. And those things are usually other birds, but sometimes small mammals and reptiles as well. So a beautiful little falcon, and yeah, look out for that long toe.
Coastal mallee or Eucalyptus diversifolia is a coastal tree, mainly coastal tree. It can grow up to 5 to 10 kilometres inland if the soil remains sandy. It's usually a sandy soil plant. It's a tree, eucalyptus tree, that grows to 8 to 10 metres, sometimes a lot higher. It's a very heavy flowering plant, so it usually carries a large seed load and provides honey for bees and lots of bird species.
The spiny-cheeked honeyeater is actually only really a late summer or autumn visitor to Kangaroo Island because it actually breeds over on the mainland. And the spiny cheek comes from the pink-red fleshy lores on the side of its face. So yeah, you usually see it along the coast here between about Emu Bay and King's Coat during those times.
Okay, well at Emu Bay there's 2 little blue butterflies. One's called Theclanestes albicincta, and that is the bitterbush blue butterfly, and it's called the bitterbush blue butterfly because it feeds on bitterbush only. And this is the bitterbush here. The actual bush itself is dioecious. That means it's got male and female plants separate. So I've got an example of a male plant and a female plant here. But yeah, this plant exclusively is what the bitterbush blue will feed on as larvae.
The white-eared honeyeater is a beautiful bronze olive coloured honeyeater, and it has a distinctive black mottled head and a very clear white splash where you would imagine its ear would be. This species is a Kangaroo Island endemic subspecies, and it's been listed as endangered in South Australia following the Black Summer fires. And that's because it's really a canopy specialist. So, you know, it's usually found in tall forests or in coastal mallee, but it's always in the canopy because it's eating lerps and insects that, again, it probes from the bark and the leaves with its strong beak. Because, you know, almost 70% of its habitat was burnt and it's going to take a fair while for those canopies to recover, that's why the federal government listed it as endangered in 2021. The Horsfield's bronze cuckoo, and that is a real specialist when it comes to parasitising little nests of these tiny birds. They've actually learnt to mimic adult birds' calls so they can actually get into the nest. They go in there and they very quickly lay eggs and then disappear. Then their eggs are actually very similar in colour and shape to the fairy wren, in this case's eggs. When the babies hatch, their facial markings are quite similar to the fairy wren, so that when they're begging for food, they will get their equal share. And then those chicks are very aggressive, so they will outcompete the native chicks and kick them out the nest if they don't succeed. So yeah, it's quite a nasty little relationship, but both have adapted really well to it.